Hello and welcome to the Porcelain Dawn channel. Today I'll be reviewing Gardens of the Moon by Steven Erikson. Hello and welcome. Today I'm going to be reviewing book 1 in the Malazan Book of the Fallen series. This book is called Gardens of the Moon, which is a very evocative but nondescript title. And this book, I went into it knowing nothing, and it's a big one. It's a big, heavy book. Now, the setting is it's a continent in which there are warring. Oh, sorry, this is going to be spoiler-free. So any potential viewers who wish to read the book and wish to go into it knowing nothing, which is the best way, I think, you can watch this. I will release another video later with some spoilers, because there are some spoilers I want to talk about, but this one's spoiler-free. So this takes place about in a continent, and it starts with the Malazan Empire, an empire on continuous expansion, it seems, from what we learn early on, ruled by an empress in a far-off city, and we join the action right in the middle of a huge battle. There is a siege that we've missed, and then we join on the first day of the breaking of the siege, and you have this massive army going against a city called Pale, and you have this amazing scene of this floating castle called Moonspawn, which again doesn't mean anything, but it's very, very cool as a name. So you have this castle floating in the sky above this other city that it's defending, and you have a man on the castle, or a humanoid being on the castle, launching fireballs and spells and everything, just decimating everything around him. There's sorcerers and soldiers on the floor getting blown to pieces. It's epic. It's really huge scale, and right away we're thrown into the middle of the action. And then it sort of dials back a bit, and we go to a city, and it's sort of a game of cat and mouse with a bit of spying, a bit of espionage. The characters, you have a bunch of different point of views, which I greatly appreciated, and it wasn't done in the traditional way, in sort of A Song of Ice and Fire way, where you have one character, one chapter. It sort of jumps from perspective to perspective within chapters. So you see multiple different viewpoints sometimes, and I really enjoyed that. The characters in this book are really, really very engaging. You have, this a group called the Bridge Burners that have some really cool members. They have a captain, they have an assassin, they have sappers that just like to blow things up. They're like engineers. And then you have this city, and you have their thieves and assassins, and you have a greasy cake guzzling spy slash nincompoop sometimes. You have the Mages Guild that runs the city, or sort of a cadre of mages that runs the city. You have a black-skinned, white-haired, godlike being called Anamander Rake, who is terrifying but awesome, super cool guy, super cool character. Seems like one of the end bosses from a D&D campaign. And apparently this book originated from the author and his friend who wrote the series together somewhat, playing role-playing games, and it shines through, but like the best role-playing campaign ever, because you have magic assassins fighting on rooftops in the dark, and the way this story is told is so interesting. And the writing, it's his first book, and it's very dense, so the writing is sometimes quite clunky. It's not as fluid, and the prose isn't as forgiving as perhaps it could be for new readers. But I loved it. I loved it. Even with the clunky prose, the character ideas, the world building is so in depth. you know, the cities, the armies, the characters. There's just so much. The history is almost tangible of what came before and what everything means, and the resonance of people's reputations and the resonance of decisions made in the past. It's so well realized that it's just astonishing how rich it feels when you're reading it. So I will forgive if the prose isn't as fluid as it could be, but it's not terrible. I'm not saying the prose is bad. It's just it can be a little clumsy sometimes. But I've read a lot worse, and I really love this book. Would I recommend this book? Not to everybody. Probably not to everybody. If you're looking for something light and fun, this probably isn't for you. If you're looking for something more classical fantasy, this probably isn't for you. This book is dark. I mean, the writing is dark, the themes are dark. The morality is quite great. I mean, there is overall morality, but there's no really good and bad. There's a lot of gray, which is very realistic, if you will, for a fantasy book, but nothing is so cut and dry, and it seems like you have to want to do some, you have to deal with, first of all, you have to go into this being okay with not knowing. The magic system isn't explained, I wouldn't say adequately, but it's not explained as much as perhaps it is in other books, and you do feel like you're joining the situation in the middle, and then you go transported for a bit, and then you come out. There isn't a very nice ending. So you could read this and just be done, although I definitely won't. I'll read the rest. But yeah, you have to be willing to invest, because there's so much going on. There's so many moving parts. The world is so rich that if you don't invest, I feel you would be doing the author and yourself especially a disservice, because there's so much to profit from, to enjoy, that if you're not ready for hard work in the reading sense, you're missing out. Or this isn't for you, or this isn't for you right now. But if you are a fantasy fan and you do like world building, you do like nuanced characters, read this book. It's really a masterpiece. Maybe that's a bit strong. It's not a masterpiece, but it's amazing. It's definitely amazing. It's something that I would definitely read again, and I'm definitely going to read the rest of the series. It's great. So I'm still a little blown away by it, so excuse me if my review is a little all over the place, but there's so many great moments. Like I said, the assassin battle on the rooftops, and then there's a duel which you think is going to go one way but is over in like 2 seconds, and then there's demigods fighting demons, and then there's somebody gets blown up and turned into a puppet, and he's kind of a jerk anyway, and a guy gets killed, and then anyway, like I said, no spoilers. There's a lot to talk about in the spoiler review, so stay tuned for that. Anyway, if you've read this book, let me know what you love about it. Let me know if we love the same things. Stay tuned for my spoiler review. Please, as always, like and subscribe. And if you've any suggestions of what you think I should read, let me know down below. Thank you so much for stopping by. Take care. Bye-bye.